Volume.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Hiya. To anybody watching, this is Jess from Film Finds. Hi.
Hi.
This is my very first interview with a reactor.
Oh
What do you call
gosh,
yourself?
I'm not a good
Are
standing
you
person.
thinking of yourself as a reaction channel, or are you a film nerdy channel,
No,
or?
the YouTube is called Film Kinds. It's a spin-off of my TikTok channel where
Okay.
I do film recommendations. That's mostly what I do. And then I just thought like, oh, maybe I'll make a YouTube channel. So eventually if I want to, I can like expand, make longer stuff, rant for longer. And then as you probably saw in putting this, in me trying to sign on here, I'm not good with computers. So I was like, let me try to do like a reaction thing to just see if I can figure out how to edit a video. So I did
Yeah.
that a couple weeks ago, just like trying to like, I'm listening to Ren a lot. He's like kind of my new obsession. I'll try Baggage, the Chris Webby and him song. So I did that, and people liked it. I'm like, I'll do it again. And so
Yeah.
I just kept
So at the moment, you're going with the flow.
yeah, and I'm loving it. It's super fun. I'm kind of shocked anyone wants to listen to me, but I love doing it. So yeah,
Yeah, well, I have questions for you. I really want to know a bit about your background, but before I do, I thought, okay, how did you find Ren? Because of most people that are new to my channel are from the Ren universe,
yes,
Reniverse.
I am new to Ren, and also not. It's taking okay. I first heard Ren technically several years ago because my little sister and my mom both suffer from ME and fibro. And so
Yeah.
my sister had the whole family, I wasn't there at the time, watch the documentary Unrest, which Ren is featured in. And so
Okay.
she sent me the trailer, and I saw it and saw this sad little English boy, and then heard this song playing in it, which was Patience. And I just like heard the song, thought it was really beautiful. There's an echo from you. Are you good? Not echoing for you?
It's not echoing my side,
Great.
but
Okay, cool. As long as it's recording, okay, it's all that matters.
yeah.
So I heard that song, kind of thought like that's really pretty, and then thought nothing of it. And then randomly on TikTok, heard Hi Ren, and I'm like, what is this? And I went and watched it. I'm like, well, that's amazing. I have ADHD, completely forget about it. I
Yeah.
then stumble on Money Game 3. I'm like, that's crazy too. Completely forget about it. And then see the tails and go, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. And then realizing it's the same person this whole time.
Yeah.
That was like a month ago. So
Oh, right.
yeah,
Okay. So it's
now I'm
really a
diving
slow
in
burn.
first, but it was like, it just took me a while to kind of understand this amazing thing I'd been seeing every few months was the same dude.
Yeah. And you say you saw the High Ren one
Yes.
earlier.
Mhm.
You saw the actual video for that?
I did, yes.
Yeah, because I was wondering whether, from your background and the interest in films, whether that was part of it, or was it more the songs and the words, or
It was definitely the visuals were really striking to me because his the big push is very much my taste in music, and I found them recently through Ren, of course, and like that is
right?
so my taste in music. Ren is not as much, so like I thought the lyrics were really good, but I was more just like the theatricality is what really got me.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
visuals for sure, the visual stuff in Money Game 3, but in High Ren it was just the insane theatricality I was obsessed with, and I was like I watched it a few times, I was like, my god, this is crazy. It's just one dude sitting there the whole time, and it feels like two different people. Just how well it was done, and with Ren,
yeah,
like whatever gets you in there, whether it's the lyrics or his voice or the instruments, you've got that thing you latch onto. But everything else is also great that stacks up. So it's just like,
yeah,
oh, it's amazing.
yeah. And I know for me, like you, I became curious because of the story
Yes,
and knowing a little bit about his background.
that took me
For
a while
me,
to find out. Actually, like
sorry,
I
say it
didn't
again.
realize that he was the person in the Unrest video
Okay,
for a long time. So I got kind of in before I realized, like, oh, he's got all this stuff going on. I was more into just him being a storyteller, especially with the
yeah,
tales. It's so very like wandering minstrel bard. It's very like almost kind of like you'll see the little riffs he does in Violet Taylor, very like Renaissance sounding, and it just like really
yeah,
sucks you in. That's what got me in. And then that
yeah,
story
yeah.
behind
Because
it kept me there.
I was just really curious. For me, I just felt I was saying it was a bit like a fire hose. It was like, oh, so much information.
Yes.
Um, and that was why when I was watching the reaction videos, that it really helped because it was like slowing things down and saying, okay, this is what I'm noticing. This is what I'm noticing. And I know for yours, you're quite chatty in that he'll say a line and then you kind of paraphrase it afterwards,
I
and I was
tangent
thinking,
a
oh, I
lot.
really like that. No, but I think there's lots of different types of reaction channels, and you go to whichever one you like. I like the I like the more words, the better. Yeah. So for me, the fact that you pause it a lot, I know some people don't like it being paused. Some people like you to watch the whole thing and then
I
talk
just
about it afterwards. But
I know I'll forget it. Like
yeah,
I do so much like Ren does. I do suffer from ADHD, and as of now, have not been able to be on Adderall at the moment. So like I know if I wait, I'm not gonna remember it. Because for those who don't have
yeah,
ADHD, it feels less like it's not for some people. I guess it's kind of like scattered thoughts. For me, it's more like my thoughts are on a carousel, and it's like I'll get them
yeah.
again, but I don't know when it's coming back around. So I just gotta grab it when I
I,
can.
yeah, well, I had a go at doing a reaction video, and I had these dual voices going on in my head of let it play. No, I need to pause it. Da, da, da. And in fact, I really struggled to react at all. I think if you studied micro expressions, you might see some reactions in me. But I was just because it really was the first time I was watching something he did called Eden,
Mhm.
and I just couldn't take it all in. So I really just stared at the screen for the whole time. So I didn't share that video, but
Oh, so far, I've made a promise myself because I honestly, when I've edited them, I hate looking at myself. So this is all kind of also a thing to work on my anxiety of making these. So like I watch them as much as I have to edit them, but I promise myself if I finish it, I have to post it regardless of how I feel.
right,
Like I just and there have been some the one I did on diazepam, which I got very personal in that I'm like I don't know if this is. I don't know if anyone's gonna want to listen to this. Like I get real personal
yeah,
mental health stuff, and I'm like, finish it, just put it out there, just go.
yeah. Well, what I'm learning, learning a little bit more about myself in terms of the neurodiversity. I don't have any. Oh, what's the word? When the doctor says
Diagnosis.
yes, you've got. Yeah, I don't have those. Um, but I've been learning about over the last few years. I'm learning a bit more recently, more so, and I can't remember where I was going with this. I can't remember. Gone.
We were talking about.
What were you talking about?
I mentioned diazepam, and I was sharing a lot of
And
my
you were
mental health
saying
stuff.
about the edits.
Oh, that I get nervous watching myself, and so I edit as I just kind of edit and then don't watch back.
Yeah. Well, the good news is people who like both of us, I saw in the comments say you're authentic. So hey,
I'm like, I
I
don't
just
know how to.
completely forgot
That's
what I
the
was
thing is
talking about.
I have seen some other reaction channels, and I just had to realize that's why I was like, are you trying to be a reaction channel? I'm like, I don't know how to be because I watch other reaction channels,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's awesome, and I love quite a few of them, but I'm like, I don't have the ability to do what they do. I don't have the
Yeah.
ability to be that high energy. I don't have the ability
Yeah.
to be that confident. I just don't have it. So like I could
Yeah.
try to be someone else. I'm not good at it. So all I can be is myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did strike me as confident, but confident as a friend chatting to you,
And that's part of why
not
I
as
started doing it
a
also was like I just moved. Right now I'm in Portland. I just moved here a
yeah.
couple months ago. So like I don't really have anyone to talk to much. Like I moved here,
Yeah.
I live with my sisters. So like during the day, unless I'm at work or talking to my sister's cat, it's like I don't really have anyone to talk to. So part of it was just like, oh, have someone to chat with, even if it's just a phone. It feels less sad to me. So I'll do that, not expecting
Yeah.
anyone to actually watch them. I just figured like, well, it'll be fun. I could just do it for my own amusement, and that was kind of it. It
Yeah.
is very
And did you want to build the skill of being on camera? Was that conscious at all or
well, it was sort of a thing of like because this is an offshoot of my TikTok where I mostly just do voiceover talking about film.
okay.
But started showing my face more to just kind of get used to it of like I don't want to like I'm hiding myself, so I just kind of want to be very like I'll just show myself sometimes. And then I was trying to figure out for because some people I know wear like masks or just don't show themselves and they do reactions, and I'm like
Yeah.
that doesn't feel like at least to me, doesn't feel like a fair
Yeah.
reaction because you kind of want to see the person's face of what they're going through. So I knew I
Yeah.
had to do it, and I was kind of going back and forth. And then when I finally realized, like, okay, I guess I'm making reaction videos. Specifically, I'm making a lot of Ren reactions, and it's part of why I've been open when I do a reaction of like, hey, I'm not feeling good today mentally, whatever it may be. It's just like, well, Ren's honest. Ren
Yeah.
would keep it real about how he's doing today, or Ren would whatever. So I'm just gonna follow in that footstep of just like, whatever I'm doing, because maybe someone else isn't doing well, or maybe someone else has trouble, showing themselves. So
Yeah.
I kind of relate to that.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, I thought when the Ren fans sort of found me, it it was a complete surprise. I didn't feel like I was part of their world, but I did feel like they were my people because of the stories and the comments that they were sharing. And so I was like, oh, I'm not quite sure how this is going to evolve and stuff.
Have
But
you ever, like, I come from a very nerd heavy background. Have you ever been like in sort of a fandom or in like a group of like fans like that before? Has that ever been something you've
no,
done?
no, this is all
No?
completely new. This is my
Okay, for me,
next
I'm just like, yeah,
question
I've been in
is how do
Oblivion,
you
I've been like
feel?
part of little fan groups.
How did you feel when they found you?
Um, confused
Because
because
it
I'm like,
hits
oh,
you a
someone
bit,
watched.
doesn't it?
That's crazy. Because I genuinely thought, and I'll say things like, oh, I'll only get 10 views. And I think I'm being self-deprecating. I'm like, I am, but I'm being genuine about my self-deprecation.
Yeah,
The low expectations are real. Um, I have been genuinely it's been confusing because I kind of don't know how to handle some of
yeah,
the incredibly kind things people have said.
yeah,
Where I'm just like, I've had to practice this thing of just like when someone tells me a compliment that I don't agree with, it's mean to just say like you're wrong because that's
yeah,
dismissing how they're feeling about something, and that's rude to do to someone is dismissing what they're saying. So you have to go like, thank you, I appreciate hearing that, even though in my head I'm like agree to disagree. I still have to be like, it means a lot that whatever I said made you want to give me that compliment. Thank you.
yeah,
Because the things they've been saying of just like that I'm funny, which I don't think I am, and that I'm very intelligent, which I don't think I am. There have been a few times where people are like, "Mommy, mommy," nice people on the internet have said nice things about me. I fully told my mom. She's like, "I don't know what you're doing, but I'm glad you're."
yeah, yeah. But go on, because for me, it's exactly those things. But this is the reason when I was thinking I need to reach out to people that have been through this, especially the really small
Yeah, I'm
channels,
a little
because
baby.
it does kind of hit you. I mean, it's wonderful, but it kind of hits you.
It's crazy. It's very crazy. I was happy that I didn't go about it being like, I'm going to start making reactions and eventually I'll be big and I'll like make
Yeah,
money or something, instead of just like, I just really want to talk about this thing. I have no one to talk to about it with, and I'm just
yeah,
going to be very open from the beginning because now I don't feel like I have to backtrack or hide anything,
yeah,
figure out how I'm going to approach things. Just like I've been very blunt about how I am and who I am from the beginning.
yeah,
So at this point, if I get more followers, great. I can just keep being me. I don't have to fix anything. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, this is exactly why when I started with the channel, I was thinking years ago, I tried to teach something on YouTube, but I didn't like the way I was on the camera. But
Mhm.
now it's like, I need to find my people, and
Yeah.
my people have to be okay with where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And where I'm at right now is I can't always get the lighting right. I can't always get the tech right. I can't, that is where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
And because I can't, I also have, we tend to call it CFS here, but I also have that. And it's just, I'm too tired to pretend and to say I'm something that I'm not.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
like maybe 5 videos ago finally figured out how to properly screen record. I was just like figuring. I still am probably doing it wrong. I mean, I'm editing all my videos in CapCut because I don't know how to do anything else. So like I'm
Yeah.
doing the most like basic stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I know
but
how
it's
to do.
kind of, I mean, some people have said they've been early at channels before, but they feel like they're really at the beginning with me. And I was like, well, yeah, you kind of are,
Yeah, I mean, I'm at like 450 followers, which is crazy. And it's so funny because
Yeah.
like on TikTok I've got 41,000, but I feel like they
Okay.
don't
Well, that I
exist.
didn't really know about your TikTok world,
Yeah.
but okay.
I feel like they don't exist kind of because first of all, I made it during the pandemic. So I got a lot of
Yeah.
followers at first, and then because of the algorithm, unfortunately, because I what I do is I'll tend to record like I'll screen grab the trailer for a movie and then edit it and talk over it. So like you don't hear any of the audio, but because the visual is the trailer,
Yeah.
I'll shut it down. And so because of that I get buried in the algorithm. So I get like no
Okay.
anymore, which is fine. I don't care about the views necessarily. It's just the point is I want to talk about movies to share kind of rare films no one's ever seen with people. That's what I think is fun. And so if
Okay.
no one can see them, well then I'm not sharing them with anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
And
just felt like, well,
how
maybe
does
I'll stick
that
up
work?
on YouTube because it's a little bit better.
Oh, sorry, I was just interrupting. Sorry. How does that work in terms of the copyright and stuff with the film
Um,
stuff?
you basically TikTok goes like, "Hey, you're using unapproved stuff," and send them back a message and go, "No, I'm not. I'm talking over it. It's my review." And they go, "Oh,
Okay.
okay, never mind." But in that
Okay.
process of them going, "Hey, wait, oh, sorry," it's already buried it in the algorithm.
Yeah.
So it's then impossible for people. So I have people who follow me who are like, you don't ever release videos. I'm like, I do. You just don't see them.
Yeah. Do you think you might progress to being on camera then? And
Maybe. One thing is frustrating though, because I love film so much, I want people to see the visuals. I want, because there are
yeah,
some movies that I wouldn't have maybe thought I wanted to see until I saw what it looked like. And I'm like, well, I got to see whatever that is. That looks insane. So like, some
yeah,
of them I want them to see the visuals. So it's kind of hard. And that's really it is. I just want to share, especially, I jokingly called because someone nicknamed me that at one point on my TikTok, the millennial movie aunt. So I'm just like, I'm everyone's millennial movie aunt. I'm just like, hey guys, you maybe didn't see this film. Hey guys, I know
yeah,
it's pretty since black and white, but it's really good. Like that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Just trying to.
Well, it's interesting because in the comments, quite a lot of people were saying that they'd lost touch with certain music things, and I suppose they didn't feel like they had that friend network of, oh, have you seen this? Have you heard of that? And in a way, that's what you're doing with the films, isn't it,
Yeah,
as well?
that's what I've tried to do. And it's been wonderful, and I've gotten to find so many crazy movies. Also, I can recommend films, or if I've just seen, because I unfortunately like to subject myself to insane movies sometimes for no reason other than, I guess, punishment. Also, I just go in there and be like, I saw something insane and horrifying. You guys have to hear about it now, which is part
Yeah.
of the videos. Just like, I've just rotted my brain. Someone else needs to know about it, and then I can release it into the ether. I'm a
Okay.
with knowledge. So
Okay. So, did you study drama and film? Is this where you've got it from?
I studied film I was very privileged enough to go to a high school that actually had film. So I studied film in high school, and I studied it a bit in college, but unfortunately, because of bad anxiety disorders, I didn't get to stay in college long. It was just, I had constant panic attacks. It was unfortunate. So instead, I just gave myself a film degree. I obsessively watch everything from every country, every genre, every decade. I read theory books. I watch video essays. I watch different talks from filmmakers. I'm just my passion. It's what I love the most out of anything in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
No, I love that. I noticed with your Film Finds channel, you didn't have a description of it.
yeah.
You didn't. I would say exactly what you've just said.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the music too, and your, but it's that curiosity, isn't it? That's
Well,
I
just
don't know if I'm
there's
going to like
something
it. I'm just
so
really interested.
I think there's something so beautiful, and I have a deep love of horror films specifically, but I love everything. But horror specifically, I feel like there's just so much you can learn about a culture, an era, or whatever by what they're afraid of, or by what they make. Like, I mean, when you make a film,
Ooh.
and music's the same way, but with
You're talking my language. Geek
um,
out for me. Come on.
with
I love like these kind of geeky. It's sending shivers down my spine. It's like, oh, go on, tell me.
But yes, the whole film thing is like, and I mentioned it, and I can't remember. I think I mentioned at one point in a reaction I was doing that, like,
You
you can.
mentioned about horror films in the Cujo one.
Yes, yes, I talk a lot about horror films because that was just a
Yes.
great horror one. That was so great. Same with Money Game, Money Game one video, which blew my mind, and I loved it so much. The idea of like, that's the thing I love to do. Like you're showing the bat hitting on the ground, and it's scary because you know when you see the bat of him slamming it on the ground in Money Game one, and you hear
Right.
the heavy bat, and it's frightening, even though you know in your head no one's gonna get hit with a bat. And so I just
Yeah.
think it's fun to pause and go like, here's why that's happening. Because like in horror films, when you see a killer try to hit somebody, they hit the tree next to them. So you see this blade going into this tree. You see that it's real and it's heavy, even though again
Yeah.
you know in your head no one's in danger. You're
Yeah.
a good filmmaker can make you forget that. A good film can make you suspend all disbelief,
Yeah.
suspend all prejudice, suspend all knowledge, suspend everything. So where you can really a great filmmaker can show you not just their soul, but like how they see the world. And I think that's really
Yeah.
interesting.
But you also just mentioned about different cultures being afraid of different things.
Yes.
And so that's kind of how you're learning around about the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And that's because when I get really, I love watching foreign films. And the minute lately, I've been watching a lot of Czech films, and I love them. But anytime I get into a certain country's films, if I find a fan of like from that country, I'll be like, "What are the best films of your country? Like, I know the ones that everyone says are good. What do you think are the best movies? Let me go watch those."
Yeah.
I get really into that. I think that you can just learn so much about a culture by the art they make. And in some cultures, in some countries, a lot of that art gets buried, and so it's harder to find it. So you got to kind of look a little bit harder.
Yeah. And do you have a network of people that you speak to? Is this like
No,
a
just random nerds. Just random nerds, man. And Letterbox is the greatest website ever because it's like you can keep track of the films you watch and make like
Okay.
watch lists. It's the best. And so I'm
Yeah.
on there constantly just being like, okay, what are the top films of this country? What are the top films of this decade? What's this? What's this? And granted,
Yeah.
I do get a lot of slack from my friends, especially my best friend, because I've seen, you know, the most crazy random stuff. And then she's like, you still haven't seen Terminator 2. And I'm like, I know, I promise. She's like, just, you still haven't seen all the Indiana Jones movies. I'm like, I will. She's so mad at me.
Yeah, it was really interesting when I watched the Cujo with you
Oh,
last night, and
okay.
I deliberately watched things last night rather than today because I
Mhm.
thought some of the reaction videos I end up crying with. But interestingly, in the Cujo, the other reactors I've seen get very serious,
I know.
and it's like,
I
oh,
realized I was
this
laughing
is
hysterically through
this
all of
is a
this.
serious this is a serious subject and a serious, and you were, I mean, right at the beginning you set it up and said this is him expressing himself through
Yeah,
his art. This is what it is. But you were laughing.
I was.
But you did share that you loved horror films. And I thought, oh, this is so funny.
Because
She's
it
got a
partially seemed
completely
like in
different.
those moments Ren was having kind of a good time. Like obviously he
Yes.
didn't have a
Yeah.
good time with this entire thing, but he was
Yeah.
having a good time there. And I know everyone was. I saw compilations of reactors when he's pulling Cujo out on the chair. Everyone's like, "Oh no!" And I realized like I burst out laughing throughout that whole
I know.
thing. I look like a monster.
No, no, no. I liked it. I liked it.
Well, it was the fact that like Good Ren just said "F it," and you just watch him go like,
Yeah.
"Fine, forget it, go ahead." And
Yeah.
just that was so funny to me.
Yeah. Well, I interestingly, I saw some of the reactors didn't get that it was good Ren saying F it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Some
It
of
was him
them,
just going like, you know what? It's more
yeah,
just like I try so hard to be good,
yeah,
and I'm just too tired right now.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead, just I'm gonna
Maybe
take a nap.
because we had empathy for that. It's just I'm too tired.
Yeah, I was
I
just like,
can't do.
I can't. Just please, like I said in the video, just clean up when you're done. I gotta go. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. But I think it was really useful that I never misunderstood about where the humor was. I
Yeah,
knew that you liked horror. You saw that this is a creative production
yeah.
and an exaggeration almost. Where I think some of the reactors were like, "Wow, he's intense," and
Which I think is
and you
almost
saw
a
it as the
disservice to
performance.
like because they were acting almost like he was really like threatening somebody. I'm like, nah, man. Like
Yeah,
no one's. I mean, and the fact that in the video he cuts for a moment to him in the chair. He
yeah,
knows that
yeah.
like
And you
depending on the
caught
set of
that
the argument,
straight
they're
away.
both in the chair. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, as I say, some of the reactors caught that on the second time,
mhm.
but they didn't catch it. You caught that straight away. But that might be because you're used to being so attentive with the film.
I obsessively look at everything. The way people keep commenting that I'm weird with. I get obsessed with staring at shadows. I love watching shadows and things.
Okay.
And I get. Have you seen the Bittersweet Symphony, the music video for that yet?
No, 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 no.
Okay, then I won't mention. There's a shot in that where the shadow. I'm like, oh, that's clearly represents this. I was so excited thinking that every other reaction person had seen it, and everyone's like, no one's noticed that. I'm like, oh.
No. Wait, can I ask you a question? Because I wanted to know about some of the film stuff.
Sure.
And you did comment about it in the video,
Mhm,
but when the choir comes forward and then they're dead,
mhm.
they jump forward. They go, ch, ch, ch,
Yeah.
ch, and it's got that particular kind of staccato feel to it. Is that a film? Is that a technique to create that feeling, or
Well, I think
it's the
definitely
jumping?
music in general obviously is always used in film, especially in a tense kind of thing like that. I think I mentioned in
Yeah,
the I haven't watched that reaction in a while. I did actually watch that one back because I'm like, do I sound like a lunatic after I saw that I was laughing so much? But yeah, the idea of like when it was kind of between good and bad Ren. With good Ren, it was like the music was building as if like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen. When it was
yeah.
Ren, it was the sounds, the sort of like the bad thing is here.
It was jarring, wasn't it? It was complete. Yeah, yeah,
And then that's throughout like, you know, the whole idea of musical stings being like jump scares. They've had, I mean, like, or even just having certain musical stings represent certain characters. They've been doing that since like the 19. I think the movie that gets the credit for that is like M in 1931. This German true crime film. It's amazing. It's known as like the first crime thriller. It's so good. Sorry, I'll go on film tangent.
I get very scared about these kind of things,
It's
horror films. I love watching the horror films, but I get really scared, so
I do too.
I
I
have
did
to
for a long
ration
time. I've
myself.
kind of become dead inside, but I Yeah.
Which is why you laughed at the Cujo.
I laughed at the
Oh,
Cujo
he's
thing.
going to
Well,
torture him.
and I've mentioned a few reactions of like I do something with Ren that I've never done with any singer before, which is when I'm watching him, I'm watching an actor. I'm
Yes. Yeah,
constantly
yeah.
watching what his eyes are
Yeah.
doing, what his hands are doing. Like he's
Yeah.
always giving a performance besides just, and that's why like when he's skipping in front of Cujo, it looks like
Yeah.
Patrick Bateman. It looks like someone kind of playing with
Yeah.
your victim.
No, you said psycho, but you said something about children. What did you say? In the playground, kind of, but
Yeah,
there was
it did
something
look like it looked
sinister about it. I
a
can't
childish
remember.
skipping way about it. It had the very kind of impish quality to it, which I think Ren does have in general.
Yeah.
Which I think
Yeah.
is just really fun. He clearly was like, it was a serious. All the stuff leading up to the video was serious.
Yes.
But as he said in his video talking about it, I'm just like, I had to get it out, so I got it out. I'm just like, like, I'm just gonna vomit all this up. That's why I got kind of annoyed when people were acting like, oh, is this, what does this say about Ren that he said these things? Even like, there's some language in that video that's pretty kind of, and even a few times kind of jarring for me. But I'm also like, well, we're watching Dark him. I don't think he's saying this. I'm saying his anger. I think his angriest impulses are saying the worst things he can think of.
Yeah.
And maybe that's naive of me to err on that, but that's what I saw. I saw like he's saying the worst things possible because he felt like the worst things possible were said to him. So he's just gonna go for it, vomit it all out, and then be like, okay, bye, and that's it.
Yeah.
To him,
but I think
done.
Yeah, I think that's why as I say, I wouldn't have said that I was in the world of rap music at all.
Mhm.
In fact, I feel like I've been out of any kind of new music interests. I've just been, very much being a mom and doing all that kind of thing.
I've done that too, and not being a mom. I'm in my 30s, and I feel like I'm becoming that person. I'm just like I just listen to the same stuff I listened to in high school. And I'm entering that world, and I'm like, I gotta find new music. I gotta find new music. Oh no. I used to listen to rap when I was younger, some. Because I was like a white kid in suburbia who was mad, so of course I listened to Eminem. And I listened to like, and my dad, growing up, we listened to Beastie Boys, we listened to like Run DMC, we listened to some NWA, stuff like that.
No, I'm the era of your dad then, because I was.
Well, I was born in. I'm 2 years. I think I'm 2 years older than Ren, which is part of why I like his stuff so much. Is that we have very similar. Whenever I've heard him talk about like his favorite books, we have the same favorite authors. We have a lot of the same favorite directors. So like, I just really like his stuff because we have very similar tastes in things. I don't have the ability to turn it into the art he does, but like I see a lot of references to things and I get really excited because they're things I love.
Yeah. Yeah. So that all adds and builds to it. Now, I asked your permission if I could mention something before, and you said yes. This is that you have a background with Disney.
I do. I mean, yes, I do. Not doing nothing important, but yes, I do.
No, but did you say you were did they call it a cast member? Or what do they call it?
Everyone at the parks are called cast members. That's what they call it. Anyone who works at the park, you're a cast member. I don't think that's true for those who work at like they used to be Disney stores in the mall. I don't believe those are cast members, but anyone who at the park does, which is why like anytime a guest can see you, you're on stage. And anytime you're not, you're backstage. There is so much intense, like drilled in vocabulary words and terms, and it is an entire fun cult that I was a part of for 12 years.
But you stayed there. Was it 12 years?
Yep. Well, I think I was 3 months shy of 12 years. So about
right. Okay. Yeah, because I have a certain picture of Disney, and then you were like laughing at torture and saying I love horror movies.
Oh, there's tons of horror fans that work at Disney. Everyone, that's the thing. Like, I love my purse is down here, but the purse I carry around with me all the time is it's a Mickey head. It looks like the little Mickey icon. But it's got a fedora hat on, and it's Freddy Krueger. So it's the Freddy Krueger stripes with claws through it. That's my purse that I walk around with, and that is very me. I love Disney. I love Disney movies. I love what the park can represent to people.
Yeah.
I don't love the parent company so much most of the time. I don't love the direction the park's going, but in general, when I worked there, I was very much, I just worked in stores. I was like a store clerk. But I was very big on, like, I wanted everyone to have the best time they possibly could. I really believe in that Disney magic thing. And I love splatter horror movies. Like, I can
No, you can, but I think that was what I was going to say before about the dual voice and that inner conflict. And
behind me, my art. You can't see it very well. Up there.
Oh, sorry. Okay, your art. Say that again.
My art up there, just to show the dichotomy. sketch artist that I worked with at Disney drew me a sketch. If you ever seen the movie Wreck-It Ralph, one of the characters from Wreck-It Ralph is
Yeah.
there. The one down there in the red sweater.
Oh, the
That
little
is
girl. That what's her name? Princess
Penelope.
Penelope.
Penelope von Schweet. It says more than a glitch on it. Someone my friend made me. Then I've also got a picture right there with the
Yeah.
dude sitting in the red sweater. It's director John Waters, who made such cinema classics as Pink Flamingo, such really gross out movies, dressed as Mr. Rogers. And then I've got a poster from a movie called Freaked, which is an insane horror comedy from the 90s. So, you know,
Yeah.
I like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, but I think, as I say, I know that I keep coming back to the Ren stuff, but I think that's part of the attraction is that we're hearing his inner dialogue.
Yeah.
We're hearing there's all these different parts, and I think that's what a lot of people are relating to.
I think that people, it's fun because I think he's someone who's very relatable, but also aspirational in that, like, some of the things he's been through, a lot of the things he's been through, and are currently still going through, as we know. He's been through some things that I don't think I would have the strength to go through and not be an incredibly bitter person.
Bitter,
and not be jaded and not be angry every day. And the fact that he can get through those things and still, when he's capable of it, choose kindness, I think is incredibly aspirational.
Yeah.
And as someone who, I don't deal with physical stuff, but I have a lot of mental health issues that he shares. The speech at the end of High Ren, the whole like the pen and all that stuff has really changed how I've dealt with, especially insomnia, which is something I suffer from greatly. And it was always something to overcome of this, like, when I couldn't sleep all night, I'd be angry, and I couldn't, instead of just like, hey, you know what? Sometimes I'm going to sleep, and sometimes, unfortunately, since I was a baby, I'm just not going to be able to sleep, and I'm just going to have to accept that, and it's okay, and just enjoy when I can sleep, and not beat myself up when I can't, and just kind of go with it. And it's been a lot easier to sleep since then.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that, and I love that I think one of the lines he says is, "And we must remember that we are human."
Exactly.
As well. Yeah. And I kind of, as I say, some of these values, some of them are clearly expressed, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that they're clearly expressed. But I also think that they leak out in terms of the work, and especially in terms of the fans and the way they're treating me. And from what I've seen, they treat a lot of other people that
so kind. Oh my, I don't know what to do with it. Really nice. Which is hilarious to me, just because, like, I've been in fandom culture for a long time. I'm a huge nerd. I go to conventions. I staff a Doctor Who convention. Super nerd. But like, a lot of them are pretty monstrous, terrible, terrible places. There are very few nice. There's some nice corners of fandoms.
Yeah.
But in general, and I'm sure and I know there are some crappy Ren fans, but the ones that are really like on the Facebook group or on the Patreon, or like really present and vocal, are so incredibly kind and supportive, and really like looking at his work and going, let's try to emulate that, as opposed to just like, he's awesome and everyone else, like, I think is really wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I was curious I know I'm bouncing around a bit, but from the Disney side of things, so you'd already been to college and interested in film, and then you're kind of attracted to work at Disney. Is that how it worked, or?
I unfortunately have been cursed with the world of retail throughout my life, and it's genuinely just because I sadly am good at it, and that I can really de-escalate angry people.
Yeah.
Keep everyone pretty chill. And I've got that, like, hi, how are you today? Customer service. And I can just do it, and it's fine. So I just end up in those roles because they're easy. But I just love Disney. I love going to the parks. They were my happy place. It was just a place that was kind of, I could be calm. I loved people watch. So then it became like, hey, you can work there. Like, it's available. And I applied. My parents were like, yeah, you can try, thinking I would not get in. I did get the job, and I lived about 2 to 4 hours away from the park. Yeah. So my parents were like, yeah, that's fine. I think I would quit immediately.
Yeah.
And I was so miserable I was going through a lot of bad depression at the time. But I was like, if I could get a job at Disney, at the very least I know that I could just see some joyous people sometimes, at some point, at some part of my day. And so I did. I would drive 2 to 4 hours to work every day and back. Some days when I first started there, would sometimes be driving in my car longer than I'd be working.
Yeah.
Back, and slowly over the years, I moved closer and closer until I lived in the same city as Disney. And it was really just something that I had some friends that have worked there over the years, and granted, getting in for free certainly didn't didn't help.
Yeah.
I very much want to do that, and I also specifically wanted to work at this place that was like an art gallery there, which I got to do. I got to work with a lot of amazing, famous people that would come in there to sign, and it was like the greatest job in the world most of the time. When it
Yeah.
wasn't, it
Yeah.
was really bad, but it was most of the time actually really wonderful. And I just that was it. Is I don't I had helped make films before with friends. I don't love the process. I appreciate
Okay.
the process. I love studying the process. I don't like doing the process.
Right.
I hate it.
That's kind of where I'm leading.
Yeah.
There's an idea, I think it's Julia Cameron, and she talks about shadow artists. Have
Mhm.
you heard of shadow
I don't
artists?
believe so.
The idea that we're attracted to something or an artist and just want to be in that vicinity, but it's actually because we want to be the artist ourselves or the creator ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I used to want to write, and I mean, I did write. I wrote for years, but then I just kind of like, I would just write because I thought it was fun. And then at a certain point, my brain just kind of like, I would want to write, and then I'd pick up a pen, and then I couldn't, and I'm just like, eh. And it was, I feel like there should be like a sadder story behind that of just like it was devastating in my creative outlet, but it really wasn't. It was just kind of like, it just wasn't how my brain wanted to work anymore. What I would do is I would lie and say that I had written stories for people. They'd be like, "Oh, what are you
Yeah.
writing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm writing this great story." Like, what? And I would just make one up as I went and talk to them. And like, it was really weird. I'm like, "Yeah, so it's just a game I would play where I would write stories. Still, I just never write them down.
Yeah.
I just make
But
up
it's,
stories for people all the
but
time."
maybe this YouTube channel, I know that you do the TikTok, but maybe you being on camera and say you seem so relaxed
Crazy.
and chatty and like a friend, kind of geek out friend, which is the perfect kind of friend for me. So I don't really want to talk about boys and stuff like that. I want to talk
Neither
about
do I.
stuff like
Yeah.
interesting stuff and learn stuff, and you help me know something more. And yeah,
That's what I was hoping.
yeah,
That's the thing that I love is that like when talking about the visuals, and it's meant a lot that people have in comments been like, I want you to do high rent. I'm like, well, I've seen it already. Like, I want to hear
yeah,
your thoughts on it. I'm like, really? Like, they don't care
yeah,
about it being a first time reaction.
yeah,
They want to hear my opinion on it, which is like so amazing. I'm like, yeah, sure, if you want, I'll do whatever you want,
yeah.
man. That's been amazing. And
Well,
also doing things like I was nervous going into covering some of the busking videos, and I'm like, guys, there's nothing for me to analyze. And
yeah,
they're just like, we don't care. We want to hear your thoughts. I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah,
sure. Like, I'll have stuff to say, but I was afraid that it would get rejected because it wasn't what people I thought were coming to me for. And I'm learning slowly that like they're not coming to me for a certain. It's not less a transactional that I thought it would be. It's like, oh no, we just like hearing you talk. I'm like, all right,
yeah.
cool, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know for videos that I watch, sometimes I'm very deliberately in learning mode,
Yes.
but sometimes it's more about the feeling of being soothed.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just like I just want to listen. I want to hear you chat. And yes, I am learning. I'm picking up little bits, but it's more that calmness and ease that I'm
And I
going to
definitely,
that
I
particular
mean,
video for.
I'll go on at least one film tangent per video, regardless of what it is. And then there's the pressure of like, oh, we want you to do losing it and find all the film references. I'm like, okay, cool, I guess
Oh my goodness.
I'll try. So I'm watching like this might be one. I'm so panicked. The whole time I was doing, I'm like scanning like where are the references? Freaking out.
Yeah. But it's interesting you say about they just want to hear your opinion, because I mentioned once there's a chap called Derek Sivers. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he says about sort of obvious to you but amazing to others. And that's how each of us feels. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is obvious. Of course, everybody feels this or sees this or
Hmm.
notes this, and yet people have commented. I did the video saying that I was obsessed about. It wasn't so much that I was obsessed about Ren. It was more that the rabbit hole of the reaction videos, and I was embarrassed about it. And everybody was like, "Oh,
I
you
was
put exactly
too.
into words," and I'm like, I just said I was obsessed about it. I didn't feel like I was saying anything
Yeah, I mean,
clever,
yeah,
you
I've
know.
had that quite a bit through different things. There were definitely when I did my money game reaction, I knew that I was going on. I was saying some things that were like, I don't know if this makes sense. Where I'm like,
Yeah,
I made this entire reality of in my head what the story of the video was, and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
probably not true, but let's just go. And I just at a certain point abandoned things. I'm like, let's just go down my storyline that I'm making of what this video is. I just
Yeah.
that Ren's a puppet of the rabbit hole of the money game in this, and all these, and I made this whole story. It might not be
Yeah.
real, but I got real excited. But for the most part, I'll mention things thinking like, oh, they're really obvious. I sound stupid that I'm even saying, and people are like, oh, no one's noticed that. I'm like, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. There was a couple of references you made, and it went for me because I thought, oh, I don't know. I think that's a person, or I think that's a director, or I think that's a film, and I didn't know the reference, but I still really enjoyed the video. It's just
I mean,
I
hey,
don't
if
know
you,
those.
I know I've realized sometimes I have to stop and be like, oh, you can explain who this person is. You can't, which I did in Animal Flow. Someone had all I knew about Animal Flow was they're like it's about Animal Farm, and I'm like, oh, I like Animal Farm, sure. And so it starts, and they have the laws on the background. Have you seen Animal Flow yet?
No.
Okay, in the background of Animal Flow, there's all the rules of animalism from Animal Farm on it. And anytime
Okay.
I'd ever heard someone be like, oh yeah, Animal Farm, it's about Animal Farm, where the animals take over the farm, like that's the end of the story. I'm like, that's in chapter 3. And so I pause the video and give like a 15-minute book report on Animal Farm. Like,
Remind me, who's the author of that?
George Orwell.
Is he now? Am I getting?
He's 1984 as well.
He did 1984, and he was the chap who lived in Burma for a while.
That I don't know. I don't know anything about him as a dude.
I lived in Myanmar for a couple of years, or Burma as it used to be, and that book is banned, obviously.
Oh, is it really?
And different things. So, but there's a little bit of a commentary about the country. I mention it because I'm geeking out. Anyway, carry on.
No, I love it. I'm also immediately, the minute I hear something's banned, I'm like, why? I get really attracted to banned films and banned books. I can't help it. It's led to me watching some things I'd rather not read or watch because I'm like, oh, it's banned. I should check it out. And then I'm like, oh, that's why it's banned. Oh, no.
Yeah, I really like, I don't always remember, say, George Orwell. I don't always remember names and things like that. And I know the books, but I think I've read quite a bit about him and his life and different things.
That I'm bad. I never know about the people. I'm just like, yeah, I've ever read Animal Farm, and like I was obsessed with it when I was in like 6th grade. When I was about 11, that was like my favorite book. I was way into that book.
Okay.
And so I was just like, everyone needs to. So I went on this giant book report, and then as the video went on, like Animal Farm was never mentioned again. So I just look like an idiot who just stops this video to give a 10-minute dissertation on Animal Farm, and then I'm like, let's go. And then it's
no, I think that's also interesting that people are giving you feedback of keep going. It's okay to do that.
Yeah, that's been surprising and very kind. Just be like, oh yeah, we can't wait for another one, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thanks.
No, but also within the video, like don't censor yourself. Don't stop after 5 minutes and thinking I'm boring people.
Keep going. I've been really working on that, and it's hard. Or they'll be like, you could just keep going. You don't need to stop. I'm like, because unfortunately with my anxiety, sometimes it'll be in my head repeated until I say the thing. So in my head, I'm like, oh, they don't care about what I'm saying. I'm like, no, it's fine. And then they don't care. I'm like, you probably don't care what I'm saying. And for some reason, that will make me go, okay, cool, you've said it. And it chills out.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, brain.
No, it's almost like I have to acknowledge. Sometimes I say, I know that I haven't got the lighting right. I know, I don't want you to think that I think that I'm this or that. It's like I am aware. And
exactly.
As I say, I don't think it's necessary for me to say that. But at the moment, as I'm beginning, that voice is like, you've got to tell them that you're a beginner.
Yeah. And once you say it, it just, for some reason, to me, it lightens it up a little bit. And people have been just really just like stupid kind to the point where I'm just like, I don't know what to do with y'all, but I'm happy you're here. And like some people have even reached out being like, hey, I live in Portland, we should hang out. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, sure. Cool.
But also, I think that's the interesting thing about showing up and being yourself on camera.
Yeah.
It's like, they do know me.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Is I'm not that interesting. And they're just like, well, are you like you are in your video? I'm like, well, yeah. And they're like, all right, well, then we like that. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I felt. So do you feel in terms of what you want to do, that what comes first, the Ren fans saying, oh, cover this song, or is there any kind of conflict in that? Because before you were saying, I want to do a film and I want to do this and I want,
I was starting to do videos. I did like 2 of them because the other problem is like getting my brain to follow through on stuff is hard. Where I do this big challenge every year to watch 100 horror movies in October, which is a lot of movies in 1 month. And I've completed it in the past, but I've been kind of not focused well. So I was like, I'll start it midway through September. Watch 100 horror movies by October 31st. And I tried, and I'm like maybe I think 15 in, and I would watch one, and then suddenly I'd be like, all right, so I was sitting there and I was watching that movie. Why am I now watching like the National Theater's production of Uncle Vanya? This is not a horror film. My brain just kept pushing me to watch other stuff, so I kind of gave up on
Okay.
the challenge now. So I gave up on doing those videos, which I felt bad because I'm like, this is gonna be me. Like, I'm gonna make what I want to make. I don't care if no one sees. Like, I'm gonna make these videos, and now I've stopped. Um, but I do want to keep talking about films when I see one worth talking about, I guess. And as far as the music goes, I've gotten obviously a lot of Ren recommendations, requests, and I've gotten some other things too. I keep jokingly referring in videos to the Great Wheel because I can't make decisions. I have this big
Yeah.
thing for this website, Wheel of Names, and I've put every single thing that's been requested of me on this wheel, and then I spin
Yeah.
it, and that's what I do that day. So,
Yeah.
I think there's like 87 things on the wheel.
Oh, right. Okay. A
Yeah.
lot.
Some of them are things I put on, and then I'm like, I've also put a thing on there where I'm going to start covering musical scenes from films to kind of
Okay.
link the 2 things of music reactions plus film stuff, which is going to be fun. And yeah, just like it's because I want to talk about film, but I also love reacting to something, or just kind of not even reacting, but more of just walking the person through it, showing them why I think it's worth you looking at. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
like, I might do videos about movies and then, like, maybe take my favorite scene and kind of walk you through
Yeah.
why I think this scene is perfect in my eyes, whatever it may be. Stuff like that. So that's kind of my nebulous plans. But from now, I'm just kind of having fun. I'm really, really liking what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And I was gonna do maybe like top 10 like movies for specifically on Halloween, just like Halloween movies, not horror
Yeah.
specifically, but just like the ones that you should absolutely watch every year on Halloween. Just kind of recommend those kind of things. Do some top 10
Yeah.
stuff, things like that.
Yeah. But I like the idea what you were saying about even just looking at a particular scene
Yeah.
and going that bit deeper.
Yeah. So I think it really does like it's I do understand some people. My mom is a bit this way. Some of my friends are too. Where I'll come out of a movie and be like, I want to talk about everything that I just watched now, and I want to be like this scene. Oh my gosh, and this, and I want to talk about every aspect. They're just like, yeah, it was great. That was a beautiful scene. I'm like, yeah, but here's why. And like, I don't need to know why. I just know it's beautiful. But I think looking behind the curtains adds to the beauty. But I know for some people it ruins it.
Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. It adds to me. But I think that's the point, isn't it? Is that you going forward with the channel, you're going to, in a way, if you talk about a particular movie and there's all those fans
Yeah.
come to you, but you'll kind of siphon off the ones that like the stuff that you like. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah, and I try to and I definitely there's some videos I know I could make that would probably get some views that are
Yeah.
not for everyone. Like I have seen some people really just want to find videos of like what's the most disturbing crazy thing you've ever seen. I'm like, I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of crazy movies, so like I can
Yeah.
make those videos. There wouldn't be recommendations, but I could tell you some movies you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Things like that, which I might do just for fun.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're all good. But
Yeah.
stuff like that. I was doing an ongoing project forever on TikTok that I haven't finished, which was ranking.
Sorry, say the name again.
Oh, sorry. I was doing this ongoing project on TikTok.
Ongoing
I
project.
never finished, but I could continue doing, which was ranking every single Disney movie that's ever happened, including like the direct-to-video sequels, and ranking
Okay.
all of them, which was kind of getting soul-crushing at a certain point, but I could finish that project and make it into a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It would be very long.
I have a lot of unfinished projects too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one day. But I gave myself this deadline like for the next book. But that was because I have to give myself deadlines.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like this needs to be finished. I had this strong feeling of this thing needs to be finished, and then it may not be what you do in the future, but it needs to be finished.
Yeah.
Come on. So I gave myself a bit of a ridiculously short deadline, and now I'm worried about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do those too. I'm trying to be like now that I've gotten some good meds that help with everything, I can kind of think like a person. So I'm like, all right, I actually have to like be a person.
Yeah.
I actually have to do things.
And in the future, do you see writing at all, or is it more just playing with the videos and YouTube?
I don't know. I just really I feel sometimes guilty that because I have friends who are so talented, who are amazing artists, and my one friend is a baker slash cookie decorator that's unbelievable, and costume designers. And it's like, what's your hobby? I'm like, movies. I love it so much. I
Yeah.
just love watching them, and I just love examining them. I love examining art and just drowning in how it makes me feel. I since I've moved to town, I actually got adopted into a little horror group. I'm doing
Okay.
a horror all night marathon in a few weeks and do like movie trivia nights, and they're just like
Yeah.
what I really love. So like, might I write? Maybe I might honestly write more like theory stuff. I really wanted to get
Yeah.
how different. I had this weird idea to do how different like weird sort of offbeat either exploitation filmmakers or filmmakers who are just kind of known for being kind of beatnik, sort of strange indie people reflect the American dream and this whole kind of thing about it.
Yeah.
Um, but really, I don't know. I just kind of love getting to talk about the things that I love, and for some reason, people liking them. I might, if I try to expand anything, it might be to maybe make like an actual podcast. But I've never
Okay.
the concept of how to do that. But make it more of a structured thing of just like, yeah, then I could really just like talk about film as much as I wanted.
Yeah. But it's interesting you say about being a bit more structured,
Hmm.
because clearly when you do the reaction videos or when you do any YouTube video, whatever, you're probably aware of, oh, there is a formula for doing
Yeah,
this. But at some point, you kind of got to figure out what your thing is.
yeah, and I had a lot of ideas when like when I realized I was going to make more than like two because I made the baggage one, and then I'm like, well, Cujo Beatdown's coming like the next day, and I'm like, well, I do, yeah, I'll react to that, I might as well. And then I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna do any more, and then when I realized I was going to actually do it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to like, should I be writing notes? Should I be like,
Yeah.
as I'm watching it, to make sure I like say something that I want? Because people said like, I don't know if you're, if you've written some of it out, what you're saying. I'm like, no,
No.
I haven't written anything. It's all very much off the top of my head. Or like,
Yeah.
should I be paying attention to the clock? Do I want to keep it really tight? Do I want all these things? And finally, I'm like, if I there are a few times I tried to cut it short and I tried to censor what I was going to say as far as like, I don't, that doesn't need to be said. And then for the next several days, I'm like, I wish I gotten to make that point because I want to know what people would have thought about that point that I said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Being brave. Yeah.
So I'd rather just say whatever I want to say and then just like, if no one likes it, because I did one reaction where I had some bad reactions to it.
Did you?
And it was fine because I knew it was coming. It actually didn't hurt as much as I thought it would because I'm very sensitive and I thought it was gonna hurt, but it didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was people who were like, I had one person say like, I think you're a bad person, I'm gonna unfollow you. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, yeah. I was told. I've had a couple like that. I mean, it's rare. I did a video about it. I was saying about rite of passage. I think this is the stages that you have to go through. That if
Mhm.
you want to be more public, and I don't know about you, for me to put things on the internet feels a big deal. It's nobody I know does it. It's not my world at all. So it does feel scary.
Mhm.
And the fact that I'm a small channel means, yes, when the Ren fans found me, it was kind of, yeah, lots of comments. But I get to, I mean, it isn't millions.
Mhm.
It's, okay, I'm experiencing this now. Okay, I'm experiencing a negative comment. Okay, I'm now being told that I should wear makeup more. Now I'm being told
Until that.
nobody's interested in your journey. Okay, right. You know, but
Thankfully,
I
I
do
did
think that's
have the
part of,
TikTok preview of that because I'd get quite a bit on there. And
okay,
I was so, I get really petty because and I fully will admit it. I was fine if they said something negative about me. I was fine if they disagreed with me. But if someone insisted I was incorrect about something I wasn't, then I'd be like, that's not true. I get really mad. I had the amount of times I'd have to argue,
yeah,
like, actually, that's not a found footage film. Like, it is. You don't know the definition of this. I get really mad. That's why I'd have to make a repeat video of just like, no, this is like, and it was mostly men who were very much
yeah,
like, hey, honey, I know you're trying to talk about movies, but, and I'm just like, I'm not playing this game. I don't want to play this
yeah,
game with you. Or I get a lot of men being like, oh, it's cute, you like this. Have you ever heard of this movie? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of David Fincher. Thank you. Like,
yeah,
she's like, you want to play this game? I hate to say this. I've seen more movies than you have, but I don't want to play this game with you.
yeah, yeah.
I get a little bristly there. But
But it's interesting that you're laughing about it.
yeah.
I thought if I'd have imagined into the future before I did the channel, I'd have imagined all of these things being really sensitive and really
Me
difficult.
too.
And actually, I do feel like I've been lucky that it has been slow and that I can just, okay, because I remember seeing the views shoot up and I I was like, this could be good, this could be really good, or this could be really bad. Like, because until you get the feedback, you don't know why the views are going up or
I
anything.
think that it helped that I didn't mean to start doing it,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
doing it for fun because I like it. Um, and it's just there's also just something kind of nice about like I recorded a thing and I edited a thing and look, it exists and I can look at it. There's
yeah,
a
yeah,
video
yeah,
and I made it. Um, but I'm not like dependent on it for any kind of financial thing or something like that and don't plan to be in any way. It's not like I'm like finally my plan begins to like get money.
yeah,
It'll probably never happen. I don't really care. So like anything because one of the joys of anxiety and depression is that your expectations are always so low that if anything kind of good happens, it feels really great because it's like,
yeah,
oh, cool, anything is a plus because you expect nothing, and the
yeah.
negatives still hurt. And I haven't had. I always think I'll have a breakdown, but I don't, which is nice. And maybe that's just because I've been preparing for it forever. From that. And I used to be very sensitive, and now I'm able to, with some age, be like, well, if they're yelling at me in a YouTube comment about this random thing, they've got a lot more going on in their life than I do right now, and that's
I know.
with me.
Some of them, as I say, they are quite rare.
Yeah.
But they were saying about, I don't know, something about how bad the video was. But he wrote 3 lines in the comments, and I'm like, one, why did you watch the video? You don't have, you can click away fairly easy. And then certainly, why would you bother to take the time to write a comment to tell me that you
I've
don't
watched a
like me? Or
lot of YouTube videos. I've disliked a lot of YouTube videos I've watched. I then just I leave them. I don't finish. It just doesn't occur to me to do anything
I
past
know,
that.
but that's the thing. It really doesn't occur to me to take my time
Yeah.
to say no. And then one person said, "I'm officially at the weird part of YouTube."
I've had that too.
Okay,
I mean, it's
but
fun.
it,
And
it
like,
kind of was funny.
yeah. And I've definitely had that on my TikTok, especially with some of the movies I mentioned. It's just like, why does this exist? Why have you seen this? What's wrong with you? I'm like, many valid questions that I don't have answers to. I didn't, but also there is sort of some, uh, there's some separation I can do on those, and I'm just recommending films and
Yeah,
talking about them while you're exposing a bit of yourself because you're saying,
yeah,
the thing I was most nervous about was talk about a film I truly loved. I talked about a
yeah,
movie called The Fisher King that I love very deeply. And that was
yeah,
very exposing because I had to say like this is a movie that means a lot to me, which means you have to learn a little bit about me to know
yeah,
that I love this and that it means so much. You're learning a little bit about me. Whereas other stuff I can a little bit be more like, hey, this movie's great. If someone goes, this movie is a psycho disaster, I'm like, I didn't make it. I'm just
yeah,
saying it's cool. Like there's a separation of like, I didn't make it. That's
yeah.
fine. But with reactions, it's
It,
a bit more like I'm only sharing my feelings. So,
Yeah, well, that's really interesting you mentioned that because I've got quite a few people who are saying they would like to do videos. They're saying this in the comments, and I said I started with sharing cartoons on Instagram,
mhm,
but the cartoons were of me and things I was thinking, and that felt vulnerable at first. But now, in hindsight, that was the first step. And for you, you've had TikTok.
mhm,
You're not on camera
no,
and you're talking about the thing, you're starting to talk about yourself,
mhm.
and then you stepped into the videos.
And then
It's
yeah,
interesting that it's a path. It seems to be a path of,
yes.
I'm gonna,
But at the end of the day, what I really want to do is like I don't want to start vlogging or something. I want to talk about things that I love because that's my
mhm,
and I mentioned in I can't remember what busking video it was. But the thing I love the most about watching Ren, specifically a lot of the stuff when he does his buskings or things with the big push or whatever it may be, is that there is nothing I think there's nothing more beautiful and more captivating than watching someone do the thing that they love most in the world.
yeah, yeah,
It's amazing. And you're watching this guy do his favorite thing.
yeah,
And that is so wonderful. And that's just what I want to share. I want to share, like, let's all just love something together because that's so cool. And I'm sure I'm going to make videos on, if I'm like, doing my reactions, I guarantee I'll find a song I don't like. I'll probably find a Red song I don't like. I'll always respect
yeah,
music, but I'm sure there's going to be one I don't like. That's inevitable. And that'll be fun too. And if I get hate for that, that's okay. It's all good. You just
yeah,
what you like and you don't what you don't. And I say this very confidently. I'm like, I'll be fine. And there's a good chance that someone might say, if someone really wants to, like, I'm going to come out here and make her cry, you can make me cry. It's not hard. But
Yeah, I
someone
know.
else do it for me in the comments, like, oh, hey, look, I'm a delicate woman in her mid-30s. You can make me cry. It's not hard.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, but again, I think this is, it's almost like this. There's different sides to YouTube. There is the I'm reading from a script, I'm doing this, and I got it all together. And then there's you and me who are like, I don't have it all together.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. Does that attract? Is that just attracting a different kind of person that doesn't feel the need to?
I don't know. I mean, part of the reason that I started doing content in general, like the film stuff, was because I loved film, but no one in my friend group was into the same movies I was into. And
Yeah,
just no one I know is into Ren. And so I'm like, I have all these things I want to say, but I have
yeah,
no one to say them at. So I just got to find someone to say this at. So
yeah,
I'll choose a camera. In the same way that I like, there's this ridiculous YouTube cartoon called Hell of a Boss that I watch, and it's just coming back, and I'm like, I'll probably do a reaction video to it because I've always wanted to talk about it. I don't know anyone to talk to about it with.
yeah,
That's half of what my content is. She's just going like, "Hey, I want to say something. Listen." That's kind of it. I've just
yeah. But I think,
wanting to geek out about something and hope someone in the ethers geek out with me.
yeah. I say I've definitely in the comments seen people say they'd lost touch with movies, they'd lost touch with popular culture stuff, or even weird things. Just they weren't in that feedback system of you're going to tell me what you're watching, you're going to tell me what you're watching, and that's what they missed. And then as soon as they found Ren, they found all the other links to other things too.
Well, that very much happened with me and Ren with music, is I really wasn't listening to music much anymore. Like, music was something from my family that meant, like, my family and I are all very big music people. I went to concerts. I was very privileged to go to a lot of fantastic concerts growing up. We're all kind of like alt rock people. My parents, even though they're in their like late 60s, still listen to like current alt rock and stuff like that. They still listen to current music. But I kind of stopped listening to stuff because of, that long commute I would have. I just got into listening to podcasts because it would just get me through, and I'd miss those times of just like sitting in the car listening to music and listening to Renegade. I'm like, oh god, yeah, like I want to go in the car and listen to this, which made me like, oh man, I've listened to the December's new album. They're one of my favorite bands, and I want to go listen to them. And now suddenly I'm just like listening to music a lot more. And I was like, I forgot that this feels good. Sometimes you need a reminder that things feel good.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
You know what? That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. A reminder that some things feel good.
Yeah. You sometimes forget. You're just like, you know intellectually, like, I know I like this thing. But you're kind of, it's almost you're afraid that since you haven't done it in a while and you remember that it felt good, if you go back to it, it won't feel as good and it'll cheapen it and it'll be disappointing.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that moment to, it comes back.
Well, as I say, I don't want to talk about depression much, but I did see something about depression where it was, they were saying,
to be clear.
Well, yeah, it was more that I saw something and they said you forget what feels good, and that actually it's proven helpful to write a list of things that you enjoy and just have it on the side, because you honestly can't remember in that moment. You can't remember what things you enjoy.
Very true.
Yeah,
it's very, very true.
So
you really do. You forget what feels good. You forget a lot about yourself, really. I remember when I finally got on the record, and my depression was always kind of secondary to, I've had anxiety. My first panic, I'm not to get far into it, my first panic attack, I was 4. Like, I've had anxiety my whole life.
Okay.
And I remember when I finally got on all the right medications, which was only like a couple of years ago, my mom, we've lived in different states, but she was like talking to me on the phone. She almost started crying because she was like, I just feel like I'm talking to my daughter again for the first time in like a decade. And I'm just like, hey, I miss you. How you doing?
That's nice.
When so much of you is ruled by a constant feedback loop of dread, even though you're still in there, it's hard to kind of find your own voice in your own head. Because like the anxiety is still there with medication, but it's just kind of like the volume control is different. Because the rational thoughts were always there; they were just so quiet. And now they're up, and the other ones are down.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So I'm going to wrap up the interview because I asked for an hour of your time, but thank you. But before we go, is there anything that you want people to know, or just, obviously you exist on TikTok, but you say it's much more about the film side?
Yeah, I'm gonna slowly start moving a lot of my TikToks over to YouTube. I might start reposting them there and just kind of moving my content. I'm just thinking I'm gonna move to YouTube. I don't know if I'm gonna end up changing my name on YouTube because Film Vines was just kind of the film stuff. I don't know if that's future me's problem. But yeah, I
But
mean
you
mostly.
call yourself film nerd in a lot of things,
Yeah, it's
but
because
then
everyone seemed to just have like a some type of title when they did reactions. It was like so, and I was like, I don't know, anxious weirdo, and I'm like, what can I say about myself? And finally, I'm like, well, I can say I'm a film nerd. I know if nothing else, I can
yeah,
say that
yeah,
and can confidently claim that. I can't claim
yeah,
any type of knowledge, but I can claim I'm a nerd about it. So
yeah.
I did that. For a while, I was thinking of whenever I do movie trivia, I go by the name Sister Celluloid, which just is a fun name. So I thought about doing that for a
Okay.
while. I don't know. I'll put something, but for now, it's just Film Finds, and that's really I'm there if you're on Ren's Patreon, which I joined recently, stupidly.
Yeah.
I'll just see what it's like. I don't really have the money, and then everyone there is so wonderful. Now I can't leave because they're all so cool.
No,
They're
you
like, "Why
can't.
do you touch me with friendship?" So I'm stuck there. So I'm
We've
Jess on
used the
there.
term love bombed before
You truly,
in the
I'm like,
comments.
you cult, damn you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on. If you're on there, I'm Jess. I've got the
They
weird.
say they say we're not that. We're a book club.
Yes,
So
yes, that was at the book club. Yes.
they can laugh at themselves.
hmm
Yeah.
I'm Jess on there, but it's about. I mean, like I haven't linked my Instagram because I just kind of never go on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I don't really do much on anything else on Facebook. I think I'm on the Ren Facebook group, which I'm just Jessica
Yeah.
Montague. That's about it.
Yeah. But anyway, from my point of view, geek out, do the longer pauses. Tell me what you're thinking and what film it's made you think of, and because of all the drama and everything else.
Yes.
I want to know. I want to hear what you're saying.
Thank you.